Brilliance Audio.
The Legend of Fire Mountain by Sarah Lark. Translated by Kate Northrop. Performed by Anthea Greco. "I'm a little scared," Matthew admitted. The tall Maori boy wore a new brown suit that was still too loose for his wiry frame. His dark curls had been cut short and were combed back stringently. Linda Lang, his foster mother, assumed that he had used pomade to tame them. Natural curls were rare among the Maori, and she believed that Matthew had inherited them from his English father. "It doesn't make sense to be scared, Matthew. You're going to meet your family," Linda's daughter Aroha said impatiently. The two of them were quite close, and Linda suspected that they were in love. Matthew had surely told the girl about his fears, while he'd only let Linda and her husband Franz see his joy about meeting his family of origin. "That's true, but I don't even know them, and I can't speak Maori properly." Matthew shifted nervously from one foot to the other while he kept a lookout for the train. Linda, too, was anxious for its arrival. It was drafty and cold on the station platform in the little town of Otaki. She wanted to get back home as soon as possible to the old marae, where she and Franz lived with over 100 Maori children. The Langs had run the home for Maori war orphans together for about 14 years, during which time it had been transformed into a boarding school. Franz and Linda's first charges were now grown up and had either returned to their tribes or found work on farms in the area or businesses in Wellington. Linda was happy that she'd be able to see a few of them later. She had shopping to do on her way back, and 3 former students worked in shops in Otaki. But first, she had to reassure Matthew. "Your Maori is excellent," she told him. "Besides, your tribe would have all the patience in the world for you, even if it wasn't. You read their letters. They're thrilled that you contacted them. They remember your mother well. You have close relatives in the iwi, and you know they think of the tribe as one big family anyway. You won't be able to get away from all the mothers, grandmothers, brothers, and grandfathers." Linda smiled encouragingly. Matthew was unusual among the Lang's charges in that he hadn't spent the first years of his life in a Maori village. He had come from Pātea, a town in the Taranaki area, as a 3-year-old. A captain of the military settlers, whom Linda had known from her own time in Pātea, had brought the child to them and had told a tragic story. "One of our settlers slept with a Maori woman from one of the conquered villages, and she brought the boy into the world. The couple lived together for a while," he said. "We couldn't tell if she was with him of her own free will, or if she'd been kidnapped. She didn't speak a word of English. Then the woman died, perhaps from a fever, or maybe from a broken heart. For a while the man kept the child. He soon found a white wife in Pātea who took care of him, but when she got pregnant herself, she didn't want the boy anymore. Captain Langdon had seemed self-conscious, almost as though he were ashamed of his pity for the little one. So I thought I'd bring him to you." Of course, Linda and Franz had accepted the child, and Linda had taken the opportunity to ask Captain Langdon for news about the settlement where she'd lived with her first husband before Aroha's birth. He reported that the area was at peace again. The settlers who'd received the land as compensation for their military service in the Taranaki Wars were farming it, and there had been no further violence. At the orphanage, Matthew hadn't been raised as a Pākehā, as the Maori called the white settlers. The children there did learn to speak English, but they also spoke Maori. Both Matthew and Aroha spoke the language fluently. Omaka Tepura, the Maori priestess who had spent the last years of her life helping the children of the orphanage, had identified which tribe the boy's mother had belonged to. The woven blankets she'd left behind, which Captain Langdon had wrapped the child in, were typical of the Ngāti Kahungunu. In the aftermath of the Taranaki Wars, there hadn't been much news of the tribe. They had been driven away like many others on the North Island. But just a few weeks earlier, Franz had heard that the Ngāti Kahungunu had resettled on their traditional land in Wairarapa, and encouraged Mathieu to contact them.